What's up guys? So in today's video I'll be showing you how you can sync your users on your Clerk dashboard to any database of your choice with Astro. So before we go on with the video, I want to let you guys know that we've crossed 500 subscribers, and I sincerely want to thank those of you that have been supporting my channel in terms of watching my videos, enjoying the way I teach, sharing the videos and subscribing. Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate. So moving on, the database I will be using in this tutorial is not necessarily a database, but it's a CMS. So if you are subscribed to my channel, you know I use Sanity a lot, which is a CMS, a content management system. That's what I'll be using in this video. I wanted to use Astro database, but they switched from their Astro Studio to Torso, and I'm not really familiar with that. So I might learn more about that and do a video as well, but in this video we'll be using Sanity. So for those of you that don't know what Clerk is basically a tool that helps you to easily add user authentication and management to your website. So it helps you with stuff like signing, login, and other components. And basically, using this, you don't have to set up auth from scratch. And like I said earlier, there's an admin dashboard to manage and authenticate your users, which we'll see in a bit. And before I move on, I just want to let you guys know that this video is not sponsored by them. I just enjoy using their services. So the first thing to do is to first of all install Astro. So I will say npm create Astro latest. I'll create it on this folder right here. So as you can see, it's currently empty. All right, so how would you like to start your new project? I think they've made updates to their starting template for installing. So initially this was different, but we'll just go with the basic one. Then yes, want to install dependencies. I'm saying no to git repo. So our project has been initialized, and by the way, I forgot to mention, make sure you have Node.js installed in order for you to run npm. So to have Astro installed, we can go back to Clerk, and mine is showing dashboard, but if it's your first time, it should tell you to get started or sign up. So just do that. I'll click on dashboard, and as you can see, I have a bunch of projects using it. Like I said, I really enjoy using Clerk. But in your case, if it's your first time, you will only see this right here. So I'll click on create application and give it a name. In my case, I'll call it Astro Clerk auth. And there are a bunch of different signing options you can use. You can see there's one from TikTok, Twitch, and the likes, but I will just leave mine as it is, as email and Google. Then I'll click on create application. So our application has been created. Next thing to do is to select the framework we want, and in our case we're using Astro, so we'll select Astro and we just follow this instruction right here. So we'll copy this command, I'll paste it here, hit enter. All right, so it's giving me an error. Let's see. Okay, Astro 5.0. So I'm thinking the latest version of Astro is not compatible with Clerk. So what we'll do is that we'll downgrade to a lower version. So we'll say 4.00, and I'll clear this out, CLS, and reinstall everything again. All right, cool. So CLS, and I will run this command again, and hopefully it should work. All right, so clear this out. The next step is to copy this and create a .env file on our root folder. So say .env, paste this here and save. So don't worry about this. In your case, it's good to keep them safe, but in my case, by the time you're watching this video, I might have already deleted this project. So the next thing to do is to update our astro.config file by adding the Clerk integration and also installing an SSR adapter, and it's required for the integration to work. So the adapter they use here is Node, but I will use Netlify. But you can decide to use Node, it doesn't really matter. So I will copy this and go to the Astro and paste it right here. So change this to Netlify, this as well. Change this to Netlify and get rid of this. So we need to still install this Netlify package, but like I said, if you are familiar with Astro, there are different types of SSR adapter. There's one for Vercel, Netlify, Cloudflare, and Node. So you just choose the one you want. So to install that, we'll just do npx Astro add Netlify. Alright, I'm getting an error because I spelled this wrong, so I will try this out and make sure I spell this correctly. Netlify. Alright, so we're still getting the same error. What we do is I'll go to the Astro docs and I'll go to integrations and look for Netlify. And let's try installing it manually. So let me try this method. Alright, so the main issue is this version 5 that we used, but it's all fine. I think I will paste this, then I will change the version to 4.0.0. Guess so, yeah. So use this one. Yeah, so this works. So make sure you use same version with the Astro one. Okay, so clear this out. Let's move on. Then we also need this middleware.ts file, and we're going to create it in the source folder. So we'll say middleware.ts and paste this right here. And we also need this file as well. Still on the source folder, we'll paste this one and paste it here. Then on the layout, I'll copy this, and this layout here, I will just paste this one and see if we will get rid of some things. I think everything's fine. Okay, we'll get rid of this title. Then for the index, the Astro, we just replace it with what we've just copied, and the name is layout, no site layout, so get rid of this one and import this one, and we don't need this title anymore. So we save. Okay, so for continue to the Astro guide, you see it says learn how to protect specific routes. So on our middleware.ts file, you can see we've not added any code right here to protect a route from authenticated users. So before we do that, let's see that let's check if our Clerk components from our layout are coming in, and we can also sign in as well. So I will say npm run dev. All right, so we have another error again, and this time I feel I will just have to reinstall everything again. Let me try that to see if it works. So if you also have this error, what you do is to make sure you have git bash, because I'm currently using PowerShell. So I'll switch to git bash, and we want to get rid of this folder and this lock.js folder. So the command is rf then node modules. On the other hand, you can manually delete this, but I just want to use the command for it because it's faster. Okay, that's gone. The next one is rm package. So make sure the spelling is correct. -lock.json. And let's also clear the cache as well. So say clean, and let's also force it. All right, so what I will do is I will kill this terminal and run npm I to reinstall everything again, and hopefully it works. All right, so let's try it again and say npm run dev. Finally it works. So we'll copy this port and I'll open it on a new tab and bring this close to this. And before we test it, I just want to disable this. So I'll go to Astro and say dev toolbar, set enable to false. Okay, that's gone. So we have this sign in button right here, and this is not from Astro itself. It's coming in from, so it's coming in from Clerk, as you can see right here. So I'll click on sign in, and this should be a pop-up modal. So I'll continue with Google, select this as well, continue. All right, cool. So let's go back to our home page. You can do that by clicking on this right here. So as you can see, we have this user button also coming from Astro. So if I click on this, I have options to sign out, to manage accounts, and the Gmail as well. So if I click on the manage account, I'll get directed to this part when I can update profile, add more email address, and remove connected accounts if I choose to. And there's also the security tab as well. So I'll close this, and if we go to our Clerk dashboard, so as you can see, we have the recent signups of the account that just signed up. There are no recent signings for now. The date and the time, and this is on the overview tab. So if I go to users, you have a better view of the users when they joined and when they last signed in, and you can search, sort, and do different things. So I will urge you to go through every single button you see right here to have a better understanding of the Clerk dashboard. So for the sake of time, we'll move to the next step, and the next step is to basically take all the users we have on our Clerk dashboard and send them to our own database. And it's not something that is a must. So if you want to leave your users on the third-party platform, is fine, but I like having my own users on my own database so that if anything happens right here, it doesn't necessarily affect my database that much. But it will to some extent. I will still explain that as we move on, but I hope you just have the gist of what I'm trying to say. So for us to do that, we'll go to configure and we'll go to webhook. And basically, a webhook is just an endpoint that allows two applications to talk to each other. So in our case, it's between Clerk and our Sanity CMS. So the first things to do first is to view the docs. So I'll open this in a new tab. Let me get rid of this one. No longer need this. So come back here. Okay, for some reason, the page is showing 404. So I'll just search for it manually. Say Clerk webhooks. I'll select this one. All right, so this is what we need. As you can see, it says sync Clerk data to your app with webhooks, and these are the following steps we take. And before we move on, we need to do two things. So we've done this part, so ignore this Next.js. I don't know why they didn't do for Astro separately, but that's fine. And we also need an ngrok or ngrok account. So basically, the ngrok account allows us to test our webhook locally because it needs a URL that is exposed to the internet, and ours is just localhost HTTP. So it needs a public URL and not a private one. So I think they have a step-by-step guide on how to do that. So I'll leave a link to this on the description. So the first thing you do is to navigate to the ngrok website, install it, and set it up so it doesn't take too long to do that. And after you're done, what you have to do is to open your command prompt and just say ngrok http, then specify the port. So our port is 4321. Then this is going to give us a public URL that shadows our own private one. So copy this right here and make sure you don't quit this. So just minimize this and we'll go back to our Clerk dashboard and select add endpoint. And the next thing to do is to paste it and also specify the port. So we'll say /API/webhooks. So when you deploy live, this right here should be the name of your website on whatever platform you choose to use. All right, cool. So the next step is to add a description. I'll leave that empty, and the event. So this is very, very crucial. In our case, we'll look for user, and we don't need this one. Just need user created, user deleted, and user updated. So this one is still optional based on your needs as well. So like I said earlier on, if you enable this, means that once the user is being deleted on the Clerk dashboard, it also affects your database as well. So be careful while you're using this, but I'll just leave this enabled. After we're done with that, I think that's all. Just click on create. And if we come back to the docs, so we've done this part here. So what we need to do is to add a sign-in secret. So let's go back, and for us to do that, we just need to copy it from here. So copy this, and you know what I'll do? I'll just copy this right here, go back to my code and say env, paste this one, and I'll copy this, get rid of this, paste this one right here. All right, cool. So the next step is to set the webhook route as public in our middleware. So to do that, we need access to this Clerk middleware, and we can't do it directly from here because this is referencing for Next.js. So we'll look for Astro, I believe is this one. Yeah, so protected routes. And there are two ways to do it. You can use is protected routes, but I will use this other one right here. So I'll copy this and make sure middleware.ts file and paste it right here. And technically I don't have a sign in and sign up page, so I will just leave that. Then I will add the API slash webhooks we created. So the next step now is to go back to the webhook stuff right here, and we need to install this civics. So you say Clerk uses civics to deliver webhooks, so we want to use it to verify our webhook signature. So I will just copy it and install it on a new terminal. So I'll paste this right here. While this is installing, we then need to create the endpoint. So this endpoint now is not functioning, it's just it's just here doing nothing. So for us to do that, I will copy this Next.js code and make adjustment to it. So I'll copy this, and okay, this has been installed. We'll go to our pages folder and create an API folder, and inside that folder we'll create a webhooks.ts file. So make sure it matches what you have right here. If not, it's not going to work. So I'll paste it here, and we'll have just 2 errors, which are fine because we work on them. And this blue squiggly line means it does not recognize it as a word, so I'll just add it to my workspace. If you don't have this extension enabled, you won't even see this at all. All right, all those are gone. And for the headers, we don't need headers. For the webhook event, this should be, let's see if they have for Astro. Yeah, okay. Webhook event is a type, and okay, so this should be a type right here. All right, cool. So right now we need to change some of the syntax, like this one right here on Astro is different. So the way it is on Astro is export, and this should be const. I will leave this as post, then this should be reference to an API route that will import, and say equals to an async, and make sure we put our arrow right here. And I believe this should also be inside curly brackets and taking a request. All right, cool. So for this signing secret, Astro uses import.meta.env. So it's quite similar to what Vite uses. So I will just do that right here. I'll say const, and I will copy this, paste it here, and say import.meta.env. They will no longer need this anymore. I'll leave this as this. Then for this header payload, I will get rid of this one. And for this, we'll just say request, and we'll say dot headers. And then we'll repeat the same for this as well. So request dot headers, say request dot headers. All right. Then the same thing here as well. Let's scroll down a bit. All right. Oh, don't have any errors. So I think we can test it out to see if it's indeed working. So we'll head back and we'll switch to this testing tab, I'll select the event we want to use, and as you can see, failed messages sent this way will not be tried. So we'll select user created. I think this one will work. Then we'll send example. So before I send the example, if it succeeds, it will show here, and it doesn't work on first tries. But we also know as well right here, because we're going to get the message here. So send it. All right, so let's refresh here. Okay, you can see that it worked, and if we go back to this, you see that we have a 200 status code, which means everything is fine. So if we head back to our code right here, we should see all the payload we got from our event type for that particular event. So you can see the entire body of that webhook payload. So we want to extract some of this data that is coming in, and we want to send this data to our Sanity CMS. So what we'll do is to set up Sanity. I do have a video on how to set up Sanity on Astro. I will link that in the card or in the description, but I will still go over it as well. So I'll say I think see how to integrate Sanity into Astro. Select this one. And I'll just copy this code right here. Make sure on new tab, and I'll paste this. So say yes. So say yes as well. Then we can check our config file to see if it came true. Okay, nice. So what we'll have to do now is to install Sanity itself. So I'll do that by saying npm create Sanity at latest. Also create it on this right here. All right, so I already have a project created, but if you don't, you just create new project. Is pretty straightforward, because what we just need is just the project ID, because we'll still get rid of the folder and do most of the integration inside this Sanity config right here. So I'll select this, make sure I'm terminal, select this, and we'll still use the production dataset, enter, and I'll start from a clean project. And yes, we need TypeScript. All right, so this is the folder right here. So it should also tell me to do an npm install. Yeah, so npm. So while this is installing, let me close this out. We'll head back right here and make some changes to our code. I'll copy this one and go to this env.d.ts file and paste it right here. Make sure we're pasting it right here. Like I said, we already have this. Yeah, that's why we didn't copy it. So I'll save this and I'll copy this one. Go back to astro.config and I'll paste it right here. Dataset is production. And for the project ID, you can just get that from Sanity config, copying this one right here, and we'll paste it here. So we'll save. All right, so the next thing to do is to specify our studio base paths. So I don't know if there's a type safety here. So studio's base path is going to be /admin. I'll call this whatever you want. So the reason why we're doing this is because we want to have access to our admin from our website. So In our case, to be localhost 4321/admin. I think that's all. So is there any other thing again? Nope, that's everything. So the thing we need to do right now, let's check if it's this installing. Okay, let's just allow this to fully install. My network is quite slow today. All right, it has been installed. Let's clear this out. And the only thing we want from this huge folder is this sanity.config.ts file. Bring it to the root folder. I'll also bring the schema types as well right here. And after that, you don't need this folder anymore, so you can get rid of it. I'll do that by the time I'm done with this video. And for this, okay, we need to reinstall this again. So npm I paste this here. All right, to clear the screen, this error should be gone. We'll save the file, and before we test it out, let's just create our user schema. So it should be user or users. Let me just leave our user.ts. Then we'll say export. Should be export default. You should take a name, call it user, title as well, still be user. Then the type will be a document. All right, and for the fields, it's going to be an array of objects. So the first one will be the name, and the first one will be user ID. The title will be user ID. Then the type will be a string, and we set the read only to true so that we won't be able to edit the names. So I'll copy this 3 more times. This will be for the name. So the name. This will be for email. This will be email, and this will be for the image. This will be image as well. Then we'll save this, and we'll need to import it in this index.ts file. So we say user, and we'll save. So we can check it out by copying this, and let me paste it here and say /admin. Bring this right here. All right, so we have the documents right here, and if it's your first time using this, it should prompt you to add this as a cause, and also tells you to sign in as well or log in as well with whatever social connection you use to sign up. But that being said, we need to come back to our webhooks file, and we want to write to this our user document. And in order for us to do that in Sanity, we need to go to manage projects and get rid of this, and we want to get a token. So the token will let us to write and read data to and from our CMS. So go to API and select tokens. Now select add API token, and I'll give this a name. Call this my token, and I'll select this developer one. So read and write access to all data sets. So select this and save, and I'll copy this. So make sure you take note of this. I'll go back and go to our env file and call this sanity_token, and paste it right here. So now what we want to do is to come back right here and go to our webhooks, and under this I'll get rid of all these. So do something with the payload. So what do we want to do? Like I said, we want to take the data we are getting from the event and send it to our database. So I'll add a try and catch block right here. Catch. So taking an error. This should be console log. So we just say could not verify webhook. Then we also need to return a new response of 500, not 400. And this should have parentheses as well. And I think there should also be another one here. Okay, cool. So you can save this. And inside this try block right here, so we use a switch statement and not if statement. So say event, which is the evt.type, and we want to search for a case where the user is created and also a case where user, okay, getting an error because this should supposed to just be case without column. So user updated as well. And we want to do something if user is created or updated. So we'll get some of the data from the events.data. So we get the ID, get the first name, get the last name, get the email address. Email addresses, but we'll pick the first one, and the image URL. And like I said, we want to write to that document. So in order for us to do that, there are two different ways. But this video is getting long, plus I'm quite lazy to do the other method. I will come right here and I will create a client config file. So first of all, let me just import the create client from Sanity. I'll say client config, and inside it I'll just pass the project ID, the dataset, and the token. So let me just go to where I have those credentials. So I'll copy this, paste this here. So the token will come from this env file. So I called it sanity underscore token, and right here we just pass in that sanity token, and the use CDN will be false. Then we'll create a client variable and pass in the client config to that create client from Sanity. So we can now use this client to write and read data to and from our database, or CMS rather. So we'll come right here and I'll create a new variable. I'll call this one user document. So let's say user doc, and inside it I'll select the type of document. In our case I called it user, and we'll pass in some details. So first of all, this right here is required. So say ID should be ID, Then we'll need our user ID to be the ID as well. The name will be a combination of the first name and the last name together, and let me just hit tab to accept this because this is what we need. So for the address, select the first one and get the email address. Then we'll await this, so say await and bring in the client and say create or replace, and we'll pass in what the user doc right here, and we'll add the break as well, and this should be a semicolon. All right, cool. So we also need to add a case where the user is deleted. So I'll copy this one, and under this I'll just say user deleted, and for this I'll say await client dot delete, and we'll pass in the event dot data dot id. We're having some TypeScript errors, so no overload matches the score. Okay, so it's undefined. So you know what we'll do? Let me just store this inside the variable. So say deleted deleted id. I'll say event.data.id, and I will check deleted id versus deleted id. Should I return? Okay, let's just add an error that say console.error say user id not defined, or user id undefined. Then now we'll have to get rid of this and pass in this deleted id, and it's a string, so we'll just say a string. All right, cool. Then we also have an error here. Okay, this error signifies that we need to add a response if everything is successful. So in order for us to do that, just right here I'll say return. No, I'll copy this here, and this should be a status of 200, and let's just say webhook processed successfully. Save. For some reason we're still having that error, so what is the issue? Okay, I think this should be outside, right? Okay, yeah, so it's supposed to be outside this right here. And while we are here, we also need to add a default, and before that default we'll add the break like we did initially. So break, and the default can be something like let's just console logs out something. I just say you know what, if there's another type, we'll just console log that type. All right, so I guess kind of done. So let's test it out. So I'll go to my Clerk dashboard, and I'll go to users, and I'll delete this right here. So it should refresh. All right, so it's prompting me to sign in. So what I will do, so I'll go to the middleware file and I'll add some parts. So we'll expose our home page and also expose our admin as well, so that we don't get that weird pop-up every time. So I can go back and I can just say localhost 4321. Yeah, so you can now sign in. So I'll click on sign in, continue with Google. So if this works, we should see another 200. Okay, I think it worked. And I think we should also have some console.log as well. Okay, so let's go back to the home. All right, so let's check if that came true. So say localhost 4321/admin. So we'll click on the user, and as you can see, the user was sent to our database, the credentials, and we can't make changes to them because we set each of the fields to read only. So let's test the user deleted. So we can test that out by refreshing this page. So if I delete the user from here, it should automatically be deleted from my database. As you can see, this document has been deleted. So it worked as expected. Cool. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. Hope you found it helpful, and if you are looking for a way to manage this URL endpoint you got from ngrok or ngrok, so that you don't have to switch this to your website's URL for production, and when you want to work on it on development you have to set up ngrok, there's a better solution for it, and I would advise you to turn on your notification, because that is going to be the next video, and if you're watching this in the future you should see that video popping right now.